and welcome to the Savvy Sales Lady Live. And I have a very special guest that you're going to meet here in a second, but I want to tell you all about him first. He's got the coolest name, the Sales Whisperer, and I'm just so jealous he snagged that one because I actually looked years ago, like 10 years ago, I was actually going to get that name, but he trademarked it. He's a smart dude. And we're talking about Wes Schaefer. He is the creator of the Make Every Sale program, author of the Sales Whisperer Way. I got to know more about that. Host of the Sales Podcast, lead strategist at the CRM Butler, and developer of IDSS training, internal dialogue selling system, which came about as a direct result of his 30 years of seeking the answer to what makes people do what they do. Wes is also a reassuringly expensive copywriter, international speaker, Air Force veteran, and brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I hope I said that right. Father of 7. Let's bring on Wes. Hey, Wes, thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I am really jealous that you took that. You snagged that title. How long have you had it?
So funny story. So I got it September 1st, 2006, and 7 to 10 days after I bought the URL, somebody emailed me to buy it from me, and I said, "Man, I just got it." Said if you have some ideas, maybe we can partner. But I said I just got it, and then I trademarked it about 2 years later.
Well, good for you. And first of all, let me just say, Wes, thank you for your service. I'm just, my father was in the Navy for 5 years, so I absolutely love the military. They're an important part of our patriotic history, as you know. But thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I do want to ask you about this IDSS training, internal dialogue selling system. Tell the audience all about that, Wes.
Well, the idea came from, there's an old trainer, Robert Collier, author, trainer. He always said that we must enter the conversation going on in the mind of the prospect. Right. And so that's part of it. And the other part is, what are we telling ourselves? So what's going on in our mind? What's going on in their mind? And everything that I do in my training ultimately is to help the salesperson stay in the game. It can be hard. It can be daunting. I'm in a couple of groups now, and I see some of the threads going on, and times are getting tough right now, especially in tech sales, SaaS sales, and salespeople are having a hard time right now. And I think it's going to get harder. So you can have all of the right tactics and gambits and alternative choice closes and tie downs and whatever. But if you're not feeling it, Zig Ziglar always said, selling is a transference of a feeling, and that feeling is confidence. So you must be able to deliver your lines, ask the questions, hold the room, even if it's a virtual room. If you can't do that, it doesn't matter if you have the best product, you're not going to make that sale. So it's two sides of the same coin, right? I'm helping you figure out what is your internal dialogue, and I'm helping you enter the conversation going on in the mind of the prospect. What is their internal dialogue? How are you engaging them? Because we as salespeople have to meet our prospects where they are, right? And you see far too many salespeople just jump right into the pitch. They talk through the close. They try to sell somebody that is not going to be sold. Sometimes hearing no, all the time, hearing no early is a victory. And so But again, what are you telling yourself? Um, if you can get that right, you can withstand any storm.
I in my sales coaching career, Wes, and I know you can relate to this, and you're saying almost the same thing. I would go into sales teams, and they were trained exactly the same. They had the very same background and education, but yet one would rise to the top and the other one would stay right in the middle, mediocre, maybe above average, but there was always such a big spread, even though they were trained the same. And and as you know, that in most sales teams, there are a third that are really crushing it, and the rest of them are just letting sales happen.
Yeah.
And the internal dialogue is the key. I absolutely believe that. I do something a little different. It's mindset training. But, you can incorporate all of this um, into coaching and training. We have a couple of comments coming through. Um, Kirsten says, good afternoon. And Wes says, you have another Wes in your life? No.
Uh,
Wes Wyatt is incredible. Um, so when you come into a team to train and coach, Wes, what do you do with the ones that are just very resistant? They're doing it because their boss tells them they have to do it, the kind. How do you approach that person?
that's why I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You just choke them out. They lay there unconscious. Say any other objections, and everybody else, like, they tend to get along just fine. Uh, no, I don't mind those people because I was that person. When I was in corporate America, I would fight back when the consultants, the outsiders came in, because usually they weren't very good. Uh, and and I was good. I'm like, I'm hitting my number. What are we doing here? So I don't mind the naysayers. It's kind of like you ever watch any of those like prison shows, right? Show up, find the biggest guy, take him out, then everything's okay. So those naysayers are kind of the big ones that you got to take out. But you take them out by winning them over. Again, we must meet the prospects where they are. We must sell the way the prospect wants to buy. When the boss brings me in, I get it. It's mandatory fun, right? And the meetings will continue till morale improves. I get it. So I'll engage with them first if possible. I won't give them too much time. You got to win them over quickly. Otherwise, you just spend the whole time just kissing their ring. And that's not why I'm there. But usually I can disarm the toughest ones. And I welcome their critique and their feedback. I welcome challenges. When I show up, I'm not there to regurgitate a bunch of stuff. I'm not there to make them a robot. I'm not there, making the Stepford wives, right? You're going to be a bunch of Stepford salespeople. That's not why I'm there. Again, I'm covering some fundamentals, some basics. It's a refresher for some, but I want everybody to have a base level of understanding where I'm coming from, and then I meet them where they are. I bring in scenarios. I let them, take pot shots, and then I handle it and show them how I can handle it. Show them how I'm one of them, how this training is going to benefit them, and how I can adjust it on the fly to make it fit. Okay, but it's got to be a two-way dialogue, and I've been successful with that. But because I am in sales and I am there to find a need and fill it. I'm not there to stroke my ego. I'm there to help them become better salespeople, to stay in the game. And I think they pick that up. I think as humans, we know if somebody is sincere. Are you there to truly help them? Or are you there just because you see commission dollars and they're just a means to an end? People know that. And that can't really be taught. That's internal. Are you a decent person? Are you trying to make the world a better place? Uh, and that comes through. So, just be human in everything that you do.
Well, Wes, for the salespeople that are watching and will watch this replay, what advice can you give them, or can you give them some steps when they've got this internal dialogue that they're fighting against in their head? What kind of steps can you give them to help them clear out that internal dialogue? But the first thing is you got to be aware it's going on. So
Sure.
many people aren't even aware they've got this struggle going on in their
Right.
minds. I mean, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts that go through our head a day. Majority of them are subconscious. A majority of them, 90% of them, are negative too. So what advice would you give to salespeople?
Take action. Too often, and this applies in anything. If you're trying to lose weight or get in shape, oh, well, when I feel better, I'll go exercise. If you go exercise, you'll feel better. Okay. You can't steer a parked car. Go take action, and because people always, well, when I feel more confident, when I study the material a little more, when the new roadmap comes out, yeah, I'll make the calls. No, make the call. Do the work. You'll feel better. And yes, it'll be imperfect at first. Take action. It's always when you're trying to hide from work, the day just never ends. The day before you leave for vacation, that's the quickest day in your life, right? Because that plane's leaving at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, whether you're on it or not. And so you have a list that day before vacation, and you get after it. And so treat every day with some urgency. Routines are good, and people that they'll fight back. I fought back. I don't want to have a script. I feel cold and rigid. Scripts free you up. Our routines free us up, right? I bet everybody listening to this or watching this, if you lost power today, you could go to bed, you could shower, brush your teeth, and you could wake up in the morning and get dressed, shower, do everything, fix your hair in the dark, right? Because everything's in the same place: your brush, your toothbrush, your towel, your soap. Having that routine frees your mind up, and that's when new ideas pop into your head. That's when breakthroughs happen. If you're just fighting hand to mouth, if every day you're just amped up and anxious and worried and fighting saber-toothed tigers, you're not going to have any breakthrough. It's when you're bored, believe it or not, is when the breakthroughs happen, the aha moments. So when you have a script, I know what I'm going to say on the first call and the second call and the third call. I know I'm probably getting a voicemail. I know what I'm going to say on each of those messages. I know I've got an email going out that's going to reinforce the voicemail. So when my task pops up, hey, call Joe, this is call number 3. I know exactly what I'm going to say. The reason we're kind of dragging our feet is like, I'm probably not going to reach this guy. I don't know what to say. And hey, Joe, it's Wes again. I know it's summer. You're probably just wrapping up your vacation. I hope you had a good summer. I'll give you a call after Labor Day. Who wants to leave that message? Who wants to listen to that message? What value are you adding to the life of that prospect? Or you just hang up and you don't leave a message. And now you just drag that to do follow up. Was this your second call, third call, 37th call? So what are you doing to add value to the prospect's life? So have a routine, have the discipline to stick with it. And yeah, over time, things may change and it's not giving you the results that you need. But again, you can't steer a parked car. If you're making the dials, if you're doing the outreach, if you're putting the content out, and the numbers start to drop off, well, at least you can go backwards and say, when did it drop off? Where did it drop off? It maybe got better in one channel, worse than another. Okay, now you have some metrics, some things that you can now look at and improve. Because if you can measure it, you can monitor it. Okay, or I'm sorry, if you can measure it, you can improve it. Okay, but most salespeople are not measuring anything. They feel like the CRM is their big brother, that it's onerous, that they're under the thumb of the boss, and that's true to a degree. But use the tools are mandatory for most companies, so use them to your benefit. Okay, but you've got to take action.
You're speaking my language, Wes. We've got a few more comments here. Dan Jordan. Hey, DJ. Stepford Wives salespeople. Love it. Do salespeople of today understand that reference?
Yes and no, because they did remake that recently. I don't know, I didn't see the movie, but it was remade. But yeah, it is an old reference.
Yeah. And then Kevin Walsh says, even pro athletes, basketball, have butterflies in the layup line. Otherwise, they're not human.
Right.
Simply make the butterflies fly in formation.
Yeah.
I like that. Your position on cold calling is exactly like mine. And of course, the cold call haters come after me all the time about this because I am a big script user. I believe in scripts for the reasons you gave, but also you've heard the sales rep on those phone calls and they start rambling. They get totally off the track. They start rambling, and then they wonder why the cold caller or the buyer hangs up on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you totally that when you are cold calling, use a script. The other thing I always teach to Wes is, this phone right here has an app on it called a voice memo. Record yourself, what you're going to say in that voice memo, play it back, and hear how that prospect's going to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And then make tweaks about your tone, your pace, even the words that you use. I'm all about tweaking scripts and trying new call openers. But use all the tools available to you to sound polished and to sound like someone that the buyer would want to engage with in conversation, right?
Yeah. It's hard, when you listen to yourself. I remember when I first started playing golf in 1993, my dad got me lessons, and I went and took video lessons from a guy, and that was eye-opening. Then when I got into sales, and they sent me to this thing to be a better communicator, and you had to give little speeches, and this was back in the VHS tape. So they give you VHS tape, you go sit in a cubicle with headset on and watch yourself. And then when I hired a sales coach, 2006, right before I launched the Sales Whisperer, he had me record my calls, and we sit there and listen to them, and and it's brutal, but it's the only way you get better. The guy mentioned, basketball and sports. In sports, you watch game film. You study yourself. You study your opponent. So, sales is a full contact sport. Record yourself and see how you do. Have a trusted advisor, partner, peer, somebody that'll give you honest feedback. And it's probably not your spouse. It's they can help a little, but somebody that's in the industry or at least is in the profession of communication or whatnot can listen with you and help you improve. Because again, if you can measure it, you can improve it. So measure everything that you do.
I want to share with everyone your website, Wes, and let me make sure I'm doing this. Give me a minute here. Here we go. Okay. So grow your tech SaaS sales. Is that your specialty, Wes?
If I have a specialty, yes. I've worked with thousands of people in 28 different countries, but I've spent a lot of time personally in tech and in SaaS. So I know that world very well.
I love your website. It's very clean. It's just very eye-catching. And I want to encourage everyone to go to Wes's website. It's being scrolled down at the bottom, and always be closing. I love that. So, what do you want everyone to know about you, Wes, and what's your next step?
What is my next step? Well, I'm waiting for my second grandson. So that's my next step.
Ah, congratulations.
She's overdue.
By how much?
3 days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Uh, so I, you see people. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and maybe I've done this too long. Maybe I'm getting a little jaded, but because I know all the tricks and the schemes, and I know what people fall for. I see people putting out content and others eating it up, and I worry about the state of affairs. I want people to get better in the profession of sales. Uh, I want it for them. I want it for me, because the more professional that people are in this career, in this profession, the better I'm going to look, right? Because you hear the adage, oh, the sneaky salesperson, shady salesperson, greedy, pushy salesperson. And it's like, oh, it just hurts my soul when I hear that and when I see people struggle. So when you see stuff online from me, I'm very accessible. My cell phone is on my website, and it is me. It's not a VA. It's not AI. It's me. I'm very visible and active and present on most of the big social media accounts. So if you have a question, reach out. Look around, and it's like if something I'm doing resonates, jump in, right? Reach out. We'll talk about it, but jump in. But at the same time, go unsubscribe and cancel from one or two or seven others. People keep looking for this magical elixir, right?
Mhm.
And the fountain of youth, the holy grail, and it's like it's not out there.
Well,
You
have
know,
you heard the new trend in cold calling called tactical tone?
no. Well, I probably have. They just gave it a cool name.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example of this because honestly, it blew my mind, Wes. It's so against everything professional, right? So it goes like this. So I'm gonna call you and I'm gonna go, hey Wes. And then
Oh, is it the pause and then it just jumps right into the pitch?
no.
Okay.
So I'll do it. So you're going to say what everyone would say. They don't recognize the
Right.
number, they don't recognize the name. So
Yep.
you're going to say something like, who is this? So,
Yep.
here I am calling VP of sales, all right, or Wes Schaefer, the sales whisperer, CEO of his business. Hey, Wes.
Hi.
Hey, Wes, I bet you didn't expect me to cold call on a Friday afternoon, did you?
Oh my gosh. Shoot me now.
Yes, that is a thing. And I saw all these younger salespeople going, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that." It's like in the 80s and 90s when salespeople would call and say, "Hi, Wes. This is Christine." Wouldn't give their full name, wouldn't give their company name, was just trying to draw them into a conversation. There isn't a CEO or VP of any department that would want to talk to that idiot. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's being an idiot.
Yeah. There's always somebody looking for that silver bullet, and they'll try whatever. And I I haven't heard that name, tactical tone, but I was reading just recently about uh, a sales guy, and he was talking about one of their top performers, and he had kind of that approach. He was just super optimistic and energetic, and if that's your style, and it kind of depends on what you're selling, that can be okay. I'm just not that much of a rah person. And if you're selling the higher ticket stuff, it probably isn't the best way to start off.
I so agree because you're interrupting their day. You've got like 4 to 5 seconds to get them to engage and listen to you. And so being an idiot and laughing and clapping your hand, oh, I bet you didn't expect me to cold
Yeah,
call you today, and not even address who you are, why you're calling them, what it is, who you work for. I mean, it's to me, if I got a call like that, I'd hang up on them. Time waster. Don't waste
yeah,
my time, bud.
yeah. I love flipping it around, and and I don't answer my phone usually if I don't know. A couple of times a week I will, because I am a sales trainer. So I'm it's my secret shopping, if you will. So I want to see like what's the state of cold calling today, and it's always bad. But people, they don't leave good messages, they don't follow up, they don't send me a good email tied to it. I don't get any direct mail. I mean, people, they're lazy right now. So if you do any of that, just decent on the phone, leave a decent voicemail, follow up, send me several voicemails, build your case, send me a couple of emails. I'm easy to find again online, mail me something, postcard. I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive. I'm like, oh, who is this person? And, follow me on LinkedIn, comment. I mean, yeah, it's not a one call close, uh, but you'll earn my business.
Yeah, exactly. You have great LinkedIn posts, by the way. Your posts are very pithy.
Good, thank you.
All right, Wes, we are running out of time. Tell me, what was a question I should have asked that I didn't?
A question, but as you were scrolling my website talking about always be closing, and I flipped that around, and I talk about like what the new ABCs of selling, and I've written a blog post about this, and it goes into great depth. But the new ABCs are always be courteous,
Mhm.
always be curious, always be concise. You always hear people talk about, oh, you got the gift of gab. You've never met a stranger. You should be in sales. No, they should probably be in HR. Salespeople should be more concise. Let the prospect do more of the talking. Be genuinely curious, as to what's going on. What are they dealing with? What are they not saying? And there's a lot more of the ABC. So go to the site and look that up, and drop the always be closing from your mindset and approach.
Mhm. Yeah, good stuff, Wes. I'm with you. Part if you're not naturally curious, sales probably isn't the right fit for you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's a lot to it, and you see all the time. Oh man, I would get this. How are you so good at sell? How do you sell so much? This would come from like the engineers, right? Who they were kind of saying, I'm a lot smarter than you. I'm an engineer, but I can't sell. And you're just some knucklehead out there playing golf, drinking scotch. How do you sell so much? And it's like they're not seeing all the stuff behind the scenes that goes into it. It is selling is much more nuanced and intellectually driven than people
Mhm.
understand or give credit for.
You're exactly right, because you really have to have a knack of putting yourself into the buyer's shoes.
Yeah.
You really do, and try to, because in any selling situation, the buyer and a lot of buyers hold their cards close.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and so part of the job is to help get them relaxed, or even, I always say, if you have a buyer that says to you, "That's a really good question. I'll have to think about that." You have added something there to that conversation.
Right.
And if you can get the buyer to loosen up and talk more and be more engaging, then the better you'll be able to help them. But it all starts with helping them.
Yeah, I mean, our people don't understand this, and when they do, their lives change in sales. But I tell them, our job, it's not to give a free education. Our job is to ask questions that the prospect can't answer.
Mhm.
If they can answer the question, they don't need us.
Yeah, that's so true, Wes. Yep. Well, I so appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule to come on today and help salespeople learn a little more about you, but also learn some things that we talked about in this live session. And I hope you come back on in the future, Wes. And everyone, read his LinkedIn post. He will definitely make you smile. So. Well, everyone, you know how I end. Sales is a journey, not a quick trip around the block. I'll see you on the next Savvy Sales Lady Live. Thank you, Wes.
Hey, thanks for having me.